Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.
Hart to be the primary matchup on Brunson. Brunson, little turnaround is good. Brunson already with 8 and maybe 10. Brunson dominating early. Both had some open looks. Another one missed. Brunson drives it. Brunson got it. Jalen Brunson. Brunson goes right by Halliburton. Pulled that straight up. Brunson. Oh, silky smooth. Brunson stops on a dime. And now Hart on Brunson. Three-pointer flies. And Brunson rips the cord. So Brunson over Hart. Cash it in. And guarding Brunson here. Brunson shifty. Looking for contact. Brunson got it. Sitting on 40. Kicks it. DiVincenzo. Three-pointer. Down it goes.
All right, that audio was courtesy of the NBA on TNT, TNT Sports, and Warner Brothers Discovery. The voice that you heard right there, that was Brian Anderson on the call, and that was New York Knicks Dynamo point guard Jalen Brunson. He scored 43 points. That was in Game 1 of the second-round series against the Indiana Pacers in this year's 2024 NBA playoffs. That was from May the 6th of 2024. And unfortunately, the Knicks came up short in the 7-game series. They succumbed to injuries, but man, the Magic, what a season it was. And we saw a superstar emerge in Jalen Brunson. Also, we had the pleasure of watching the Villanova 3, Brunson, Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and a host of other players on that team. And the magic of basketball was in full swing once again in the NYC, the Big Apple, New York City. We haven't had him on the program in quite some time, but it's great to have him back. He is the CEO of the Off the Ball Network. He's also host of the Off the Ball and Get a Bucket podcast, and he's a contributor for Knicks Fan TV. Let's welcome him back to the program, Chris Lebron. Hey, Chris, welcome back, my man.
Hey, man, what's going on, man? No, it's been a minute, man, but I'm excited to be on and talk to you, bro.
Absolutely, sir. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. Before we get deep into the Knicks playoff run this year against the Sixers and the Pacers, I know you got a lot of words, so the floor is yours, sir. What words do you have to describe the 2023-2024 New York Knicks season?
It was a lot of fun. You know, I know that it didn't end the way we wanted to, and obviously there's a lot of disappointment with that. But obviously, I mean, we lost. Like, everybody got hurt. So there's frustration with that, man, that's what took us out. It's just injuries and all that. But I'm confident that if we were healthy, we would have won the series versus Indiana in 5 or 6, and we'd be playing Boston right now, but obviously that's not the case. But, you know, it was just a lot of fun. You know, it was a season that, you know, I came into the season thinking they could be a 45 to 47 win ball club, and was confident with that, you know, and, you know, maybe we could win a playoff series or not, you know, but I didn't know if Brunson, I was still seeing if, you know, can Brunson, you know, play the way he did last year or better? I wasn't sure. You know, we had to see. And he definitely played a lot better than last year. Last year was borderline All-NBA, and this year he was All-NBA. And I had him first team. I know he finished second team. So, but he was tremendous. You know, the Donte signing, you know, was proved to be very impactful. You know, he was coming in to be a backup, and he wound up starting and having the most threes in Knicks history. Josh Hart, obviously, you know. So it was a fun season, man. That's the one thing I could take out of it. And you know, it gives us a lot of, you know, good feelings heading into next season because we have draft capital. We can move some guys around if needed to be and not really kill our depth. So the big thing is it was a lot of fun, you know, because it was, you know, we had a great ride and all that, seeing Brunson's evolution and all that. But obviously, unfortunately, injuries just, the NBA gods once again strike down on New York City and say, not this year. So we got to wait till next year and all that. But, yeah, this was a lot of fun, bro.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, it's one thing when Los Angeles is winning and it's fun, but when New York is winning, it's a lot of fun, and the atmosphere is just kicked up a notch. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. I want to talk about the Knicks' thrilling series against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Knicks, I mean, they clicked on all cylinders. Now, Mitchell Robinson got hurt in the early part of the series, but again, we talked about him earlier. Jalen Brunson, right, emerging as a superstar. Josh Hart, Donte DiVincenzo, handled their business. OG Anunoby was exciting as well. Isaiah Hartenstein, I mean, he came out of nowhere too with the defense and the rebounding. Give me your thoughts on the Knicks' performance against the 76ers.
It was gritty, you know, especially with the bigs, man, because, you know, even though Joel was nowhere near 100%, he was probably, 65, 70% at max, he's still a load, and he gave the bigs a very tough time and all that, you know. So, you know, I give credit to Hardenstein and, you know, Mitch for being able to do their best against, you know, he was going to win MVP if he doesn't get hurt, Joel. He was on pace to win back-to-back MVP. So I give them tremendous credit in that series for just holding himself. It wasn't easy. They got beat up and all that, but they did their thing and all that. But just the little things with the Knicks they did against Philly, just boxing out Josh Hart's ability to, you know, to just always find the ball and all that, hit big shots and all that. So same thing with Donte, especially in game 2 when, you know, we were down, you know, 6-7 points in the last 35 seconds and, you know, to hit big-time shots and all that. But, you know, it's just the little things that we did in that series is why we won and all that. And, you know, the big just, you know, they got beat up, but they held their own. They did their best and all that. So, you know, that series was a lot of fun, though. I think that was probably the most entertaining first-round series in the playoffs and all that. And, you know, that's not a typical 7 seed either. You know, Philly was not a 7 seed. You know, they were more of a top 4 seed, and you know, we had our they gave us everything they got. You know, but you know, the little things are why the Knicks came out of that series, and you know, the bigs just taking a beating, but just staying in there and all that. So that was a big reason why they took care of business against Philly.
Man, you talk about so many dynamite players in that series. When we talk about Brunson and Hart, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, Hartenstein, and also, I mean, Joel Embiid. Like you said, Embiid was only at 65%, but hey, had he not been hurt, he would have repeated as MVP. And Tyrese Maxey, he emerged as a superstar too. And let's just say Tobias Harris was nowhere to be found in that series against the Knicks.
They still got a major on him.
You're right about that. They do have an Amber Alert on him. I mean, or they found his face on the milk carton, so to speak. Have you seen Tobias Harris? I mean, come on now. But, you know, while we're still talking about New York and Philly, we know these two cities are less than 2 hours away from one another. We know that the rivalry has been intense, especially in sports. What is it about New York and Philadelphia that has made this such a fierce rivalry, would just make the competitiveness just continue for decades? Man,
it's just, like you said, it's close. We're close by, right? It's, depending where you're at, it could be hour and change rise to Philadelphia and all that. And I think it's more of a Philly thing and all that, like, kind of like they like to say that, you know, we're tough on our sports teams and all that. Our fans show out. Well, their fans didn't really show out the way they like to say they do. You know, just look at the way, you know, Knicks fans showed up at Philly. You know, we definitely showed our presence in that series, especially on the road, you know, all that. But it's just one of those things where, you know, we're so close to each other, and, you know, in every sport, like if you look at football, the Giants and the Eagles are in the same division. You look in baseball, like the Mets and the Phillies are in the same division. You look at basketball, we're in the same division with Philly. So it's just every sport, you know, we're rivals in. And it's, you know, we've played big-time playoff series, you know, in every sport. You know, Eagles, Giants, they play plenty of playoff games against each other. So it's just, you know, I think maybe a little jealousy with Philly because they're a city of brotherly love and all that, and they're known for, the Liberty Bell and Rocky and all that. They got statues of fictional characters. Where in New York we got the bright lights and all that. So there's probably some jealousy with Philly and all that. But they got their cheesesteaks. We got our pizza. That's a rivalry. What's better, But it's definitely been intense for the last whatever amount of years. The rivalry between the cities, because sports has been such a big. Either with hip hop, you name it. Just everything is a rivalry with us, with us in Philly. So, especially when you get down to sports, it's intense. Especially when we're talking about playoff, type of playoff atmospheres, and no matter the sport. So, it's an intense rivalry. Like I said, we're so close to each other, that it even makes it more, intense. So, man, it's just one of those things. It's fun. It's like us with New York, but yeah, and it's really. I've been to Philly Knicks games. It's something different, man. But yeah, it's just we're so close to each other and all that, and maybe some jealousy with them, with how New York gets. Everybody so hypes up New York as just a whole, with the lights and all this Midtown Manhattan and all this. So, it's a little bit of that, but it's a fun rivalry, man. This going back and forth with those fans, it can get a little crazy, but it's fun though.
Indeed, it is fun, man. It's been on like that for decades, and certainly both New York and Philly great with the sports, and of course, two culturally unique and iconic cities. And I want to talk now just about the Knicks run against the Pacers. Again, it went 7 games. It went the distance. You mentioned the key word, Chris, injuries, and the injuries got the best of the Knicks. Give me your thoughts on the Knicks series against the Pacers.
Honestly, it's just the injuries, man. Like, I'm 100% confident that if we just have OG, where we win that series. But, him going down with the hammy is just was like, oh, man. And then, like, Game 7 happens, we're hyped. Brunson's missing in action, and then we find out he breaks his hand. So it's like, oh, we could not catch a break. We already came into the series without, numerous guys. Bogdanovich gets hurt. Obviously Randall missed, was out during the season with the shoulder surgery and all that. Losing Mitchell Robinson, and then you lose OG, and then Hart is battling some ribs and some rib pain and all that. So you're like, man, like I don't know if these guys can go so much longer. And then Brunson getting hurt was like the cherry on top. I was like, all right, we're not going to win this. We're not going to be able to overcome all these injuries and all that. So it's that's the thing. It's his injuries, because I'm 100% confident, man, that if we just got one or half of those guys good, we take care of business. Or even if Brunson's healthy and doesn't hurt his hand, we win Game 7 and all that. But injuries, man, like you said, it's just injuries. I can't say nothing more, man. I think we win the series if we're just a tad healthy, but wasn't the case. And that, unfortunately, that's sports, and that's what happens. But yeah, injuries, man. There's nothing more to them, man. It's just the injuries are the reason why we did not advance.
I want to stay just with this Knicks-Pacers rivalry. We last talked about New York and Philly, and they've just been going at each other, and they're having this intense rivalry for decades. The Knicks and the Pacers, it's been intense since the 90s. Reggie Miller, Spike Lee, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, and so on and so forth. Well, I guess you could say the rivalry became renewed with this year's series. What's it like with a Pacers-Knicks rivalry, especially at Madison Square Garden?
I mean, especially, me growing up in the 90s and all that, and, the high point of New York Knicks basketball, when you think about the New York Knicks and just that era, you always think Reggie, right? You see the choke when he does, Spike Lee, he does the choke thing and all that, and just the constant playoff battles. I mean, it was just, that was the antithesis of the 90s and the Knicks and all that. And it's just that those two teams were battling to see who was going to, get to play Jordan and the Bulls and all that, or have a shot to get to those finals. So that rivalry, I mean, it's up there. Like, I grew up, I couldn't stand Indiana, just like I couldn't stand the Miami Heat. I couldn't stand, a lot of these teams, but it's another intense rivalry we had. Especially when you see a team constantly in the playoffs, and it's to go to the Eastern Conference Final, or it's to go to the NBA Finals, it intensifies. And you know how in the 90s, it was, the rivalries were at this apex, so I love it. I love that we're getting the rivalries back, getting teams not liking each other and all that. Knicks Pacers don't like each other. Knicks Philly don't like I like that. I think we need that back in basketball and all that. So, but yeah, that rivalry in particular is great. I just love that, not only that my team is relevant, but those rivalries seem to be getting back. Miami's another rivalry. We played them last year, and unfortunately we lost in 6, but I love those rivalries. Those are what made me a massive, obviously a Knicks fan just being in New York, but just a massive basketball fan, because those rivalries were intense and meant something and all that. Like you said, it was usually one of those teams were advancing to play Jordan or trying to get to the finals and all that. So Knicks Pacers is going to be something for the next few years we're going to see, especially Brunson and Halliburton, two of the best point guards in the NBA going at it. So unfortunately they got the best of us the last 2 times we played them. They got us this year. They got us in 2013. With Melo and all that when PG was there. But I'm sure we'll see them again, and hopefully next year we'll get to see them again, and we can get some revenge on them.
You're absolutely right about that, man. It's great to see the rivalries come back, and certainly with Knicks and the 76ers, and then you mentioned Knicks and the Heat, and definitely Knicks Pacers, and hey, Brunson, Halliburton, also Siakam, and with Hart and DiVincenzo and the crew definitely has the makings of definitely a rivalry renewed. And I want to talk just about some Knicks players for a moment. Josh Hart, what a season that Josh had this year. Every team that Josh has played on, he's always been a hard worker and somebody that gives it his all during his time with the Lakers, with the Pelicans, time in Portland, and now arriving in New York. He's only been in New York for a short amount of time, but he's developed like a cult following in the Big Apple. What's the buzz like towards Josh Hart, especially this past season?
Man, that man he can get a free dinner anywhere he wants, man. He's I know when people think about New York, they always think about big time player, these big, talented players and superstar level players, but it's always those gritty type players that always are, the guys that we tend to gravitate around and all that. And, he's one of those guys. He's just beloved, just simply because he's that type of player that, yeah, he's not someone that has a high vert. He's not a big player. He's an undersized type of 4. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great dip, but somehow he ends up with, hitting some big time 3-pointers or, grabbing 15 rebounds in a game, and just, being a warhorse, playing 48 minutes, those type of players don't exist. Like, to have one of those guys, it truly is, just a joy to watch, and knowing that he's going to give you everything he had, and he just said it. He's like, yeah, I gave everything I had and all that, and every time he's on the court, he's going to give you 110%, and all that. So he's the heart and soul of this team. He brings the energy, and then they feed off that, and obviously having the chemistry with the Nova boys and all that. But man, he's a joy. I'm so happy he's here. When they traded for him, people were like, they wasn't sure. I was on board because I always thought of him as a wing player, and even though he didn't make the playoffs. But I always thought of him as that glue guy that always is going to fit no matter what. And it's definitely, he's fit like a glove here, and I don't see a lot of people complaining about trading Cam Reddish for him anymore and all that. It's definitely all love for Josh Hart, and he's the heart and soul. No pun intended, but he's the heart and soul of the squad.
You're absolutely right, and certainly Josh also, I would say, out of the Nova 3, definitely the most comical one out of the two. Never a dog with him, and certainly cracking jokes, and certainly he's very the life of the party, so to speak. And Josh definitely developed a cult following in New York and amongst Knicks fans, and looking forward to what happens with him going forward. And another person of the Nova 3, Donte DiVincenzo, he won an NBA championship several seasons ago with the Milwaukee Bucks. Then after that got traded to Sacramento, 1 year in Golden State, and then he really had his breakout year this year with the Knicks. And you talk about a walking three-pointer, somebody that gives it his all, somebody that has a lot of hustle. That'd be Donte DiVincenzo. Give me your take on Donte's season and what he is among Knicks fans.
Yeah, he grew on. I think a lot of people, when we signed him, I think it was more of a mixed reaction. I think people were kind of like, he's a solid player, but we don't, coming off the bench and all that, like, they would really need him and all that. But, he showed from the jump that, all right, he understands his role. Because at first, coming off the bench, because we still have Quentin Grimes, and Quentin Grimes was someone that, we were trying to groom to be that our future, two guard, him and Brunson and all that. But, you can't underestimate chemistry and all that, especially when, he's played with Jalen Brunson and Hart, and he just felt like a glove here. And he kind of got the, he kind of got the city on his back after, some big time games early, and he kind of took their starting spot. He essentially got, it made Quentin Grimes expendable, and they wanted to trade him, in the Bogdanovich trade and all that, and kind of made it a guy that we thought that was going to be our two guard of the future is now getting shipped, and now Donte, finished the season with tremendous season, all-time single season Knicks 3-point. He got the record from Fournier and all that, so it was just. He just had a massive season, played great, big reason why we won the Sixer series, being able to guard, Maxey and all that is not easy, and he was able to be solid, hit big time shots, and, be a big part of this, and, he grew on Knicks fans and all that, especially me, because I was kind of on the fence and all that with the acquisition, but proved that he's definitely a great piece, and someone that I'm looking forward to see what he does next season. Because he's definitely a big part of why we were able to have the success we had this season.
Absolutely, and as you said, it was a breakout year for Donte, man, and hopefully his star will continue to shine bright, and he could contribute big things for the New York Knicks. And speaking of contributing to the New York Knicks, man, who would have thought Jalen Brunson, you said Brunson's first year with the Knicks last year was amazing. Could he top it? Well, he topped that and then some. This year, he made his first All-Star team. Yeah, you're right about that. He made his first All-Star team, was voted this year All-NBA second team. And it was so interesting because he started his career with the Dallas Mavericks. Last 2 years really picked up his numbers, but it made it perfectly clear that Luka Doncic got the Supermax, and Dallas really had their eyes set on Kyrie Irving. Well, Brunson last year was good. This year, greater. I mean, give me your thoughts on Jalen Brunson and emerging into a bona fide superstar this year.
It just shows them that when you just base stuff on measurables, that's not the only way you need to view a player. Sometimes you got to really dig deep and really find what you can find in a player. And with Brunson, he proved a lot of people wrong throughout the years, and showing why he's good. Even when he was in Dallas with Luka, like, he showed flashes when Luka was on the court. He showed that he could be a high-level guard. And, the Knicks took a chance on him, and he was able to obviously do what he did last year, be almost an all-star, almost an all-NBA player, and this year accomplish both of those things. I think he should have been first-team All-NBA, but, I'll take second team and all that because that still shows what he was able to do this year. But, man, it's been fun seeing his growth as a player, and, I think the comfortability with having Josh Hart and Donte there, it has really just made him even more comfortable on the court as a player because he's obviously played with those guys, in college. So it's been fun to see him grow and take the city, by storm and really be the guy, be the guy in New York City. It's not easy to do, and he's able to handle that really well and grab it by the horn. So it's just been fun, man. He's a tremendous player, 3-level scorer for a guy who's undersized, 6'1", not an above-rim player. To be a 3-level scorer is absolutely, that's not easy to do, man. And he's able to do it. It was so much fun watching him. He was just lights out. And when I saw he fractured his hand, it made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't even finish watching because I was like, oh, it's over, because he is really, he's the engine starter. So, but I'm looking forward to the next next year and seeing if he can take it up another level. I think there's another level to be taken. So, I'm excited for next season, man. I mean, there's no, we don't got picks or no, we got all the picks. We can make a move if possible and all that, but it starts with him, and that's why we feel comfortable going forward, because we have Jalen Brunson in New York. So I'm happy to have 11 on my team, man.
Absolutely. He definitely dazzled this year. And I want to stay just with Jalen for a moment. So 2 years ago, that free agency period was kind of all over the place because Kyrie Irving was out there. Also, Donovan Mitchell was out there as well. Kyrie, growing up in the area, being from northern New Jersey, there was the possibility of him maybe being a Knick, playing across the East River in Brooklyn. And then Donovan Mitchell is a New Yorker. There was the possibility of him playing in New York. There was rumors of Kevin Durant, with his future, but unfortunately, Phoenix making the deal in the trade, and the Knicks land Jalen Brunson, of course, with his father working for the organization. Did you expect Jalen to have this immediate success despite all the names that was kind of thrown around in that free agency period with Kyrie and Donovan and Kevin Durant?
Expecting success because, like I mentioned before, when he was in Dallas, when Luka was not on the court, he definitely showed, and he definitely helped Dallas out, especially that year they went to the conference finals and all that. But did I expect this? I'll be lying. I'd be lying to you, man, if I expected this. But I did expect him to be a borderline level all-star player and all that, because he's the opportunity. Obviously, he doesn't have to share the ball with Luka. But I didn't expect this, man. I'd be lying to say if I expected this. With the Knicks point guard situation, in years past, I just wanted someone solid. And when we got him, I was like, okay, we got a solid point guard. Now we have to build the rest of the foundation and all that. And then he just took off. And I'm like, whoa, I did not expect this. I did not expect that at all. And to get that was absolutely tremendous. And then going into the season, you're like, all right, can he do it again? And then he did it again and did it better. So it's like, you knew there was something there in Dallas, and you got to give him credit too for betting on himself, because he could have took the money, and had a nice payday, especially being a second-round pick. But he bet on himself, and he definitely he made the right move and all that, and he's gonna, I know he's contract eligible this season, and then next season he can really get really paid. So, everything's gonna work out for him. But man, I didn't expect it to be this good. Good, yeah. I definitely expect him to be borderline level all-star, but not this good, man. I'd be lying if I say I thought that, man. And most people will tell you the same. Like, they didn't expect this. They just wanted someone to be solid, because we have not had a good point guard play in a while. But man, we've gotten a great investment, because his contract now, you look at it and it's peanuts compared to some of these other guys and all that who are not giving you anything close to the production he's giving you. So, didn't expect it to be this good, but I'm happy we have.
Absolutely. It caught me by surprise too, Chris. I was expecting good things, but not like this, man. And definitely he turned it up in more ways than one. And it's just going to be exciting to see what happens next year. And, Madison Square Garden, right? They say it's the Mecca of basketball. It's nestled right there in Midtown Manhattan. And MSG, we know they've held some great events, great concerts, and, of course, they're the home of New York Knicks basketball, and the energy was just alive this year, particularly for the New York Knicks and just the Garden. They showed up in more ways than one. I asked you this question last time I had you on, Chris, but I'll ask you this question again. What is the atmosphere like watching New York Knicks basketball at Madison Square Garden?
I know I'm going to sound like a homer, but it's unlike anything you can experience as a sports fan. I've yet to get to a playoff game because we haven't had a lot of time. A lot of shots in the playoffs because we've just had a lot of bad years. But even regular season games. I went to a Suns-Knicks game last year, and the atmosphere was absolutely. It's second to none, man. When the Garden's rocking and when shots are being made and the crowd is just going nuts. It is the greatest home court advantage you have in basketball. And, I tell everyone who asks me, all my, podcast friends who are not from New York or they're from Atlanta, they're from Boston, they're from California, Tech, wherever. I'm like, if you come to New York, you got to go to the Garden and just feel it. And then you'll understand. And most people do. They're like, I get it. And they understand, like, okay, this makes sense. I get why it gets all the, all the love it gets. So it's a special place, man. It's a special place, and then when we're moving and we're rocking and rolling, it's unlike anything in the world, especially in basketball. So, right now it's at its apex, like I said, and hopefully, we continue to make moves so we can continue to get that place rocking, and hopefully one day, 1 year, we get to experience that, in a finals. So, but yeah, it's just simply special, man. It's unlike any other building in basketball.
The tagline is the world's most famous arena, and rightfully so, with a lot of great events, and certainly when the Knicks play and when the Knicks are winning, that, like you said, that place is rocking, and it's just an energy unlike any other. And speaking of being an energy unlike any other, it's New York City, right? And the magic of basketball is back in New York City, not just at the Garden, but just New York City as a whole. We saw all of the celebrities come out, like Ben Stiller, Tracy Morgan, John McEnroe. Spike Lee's going to be there. What's not to love about Spike, right? And then you've got a lot of the Knicks players showed up. Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley showed up. I just got to ask you, Chris, what's it like to have the magic of basketball being back in the Big Apple with this resurgence of the Knicks and seeing all those Knicks players and celebrities coming out in full force?
It's just dope. It's the hottest ticket. You see all these other teams, and they got solid celebs and all that. But when the Knicks are doing their thing, you see the top of the top, the creme of the creme at the Garden and all that. And sometimes, for some fans, they don't like that because it kind of outprices them out for playoff games, but that's for a whole another story and all that. But you see people want to be a part of that, man. But you can't get mad when you see these high ticket prices, man. It is a hot ticket, and even celebs are, they'll. Whatever they're doing, they're stopping because they want to be sitting courtside at the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, to see this team try to make a run. So it's definitely it's buzzing right now, and like I said, it's only going to get even more. The buzzing is just going to keep getting louder because this team actually has the infrastructure to do some special things, not just for a year, but for multiple years. And this is year this is another back-to-back years. We get to the second round. Obviously, we didn't end the way we wanted to these last 2 years, but we know that a move here or there, we can get to where we want to go and to at least get to the conference finals, which we know we were right there because if all our guys don't get hurt, we're there. I 100% believe that. So we know we're just a few little tweaks away from not just getting to a conference finals, but maybe being, represent the East in the finals. So, that's why this city's buzzing. The celebs are out and all that. They want to be a part of it. They want to see this happen, and hopefully, we get to see that happen real soon.
You know what? It's one thing when you have your small market teams winning, and it's another thing when you have Los Angeles winning. But when New York is winning, it's just the perfect balance. I call it the perfect storm, so to speak, because you got New York and L.A. and your other big markets, and when you put some of the small markets in there, man, it just makes for great parity, and it just makes for great NBA basketball. There's nothing like it. It's great to see NYC come alive with basketball returning. And staying with the Knicks for a moment, with the Knicks having this resurgence the last couple of years, and we know New York City is known for the parks and rec centers and playing basketball like at the Rucker and so on and so forth. I got to ask you, with the Knicks having this resurgence, are kids in the NYC heading to playgrounds again to learn the art of playing basketball?
Yeah, I definitely think you'll have more people a little bit more excited because Knicks are relevant again and all that, so that definitely gets more kids excitement there. But I always feel like with New York City, there's some, especially like right now, it's nice out. You're always going to see people out, regardless if the Knicks or whoever is good and all that. It's always going to be active and all that. But definitely the Knicks being good definitely, gives people an extra pep in their step and all that, feeling good, feeling confident and all that. Feel good that they're a Knicks fan, wear that Knicks stuff when on the court, all that. So, and give that a little bit extra oomph on the court that you need and all that. But yeah, I think it's going to be, the New York City is always alive, especially this time, especially on the courts and all that. But yeah, I think the Knicks help a little bit with that. Give a little bit of energy because the fans are feeling good about themselves. But it's always alive right now, and now that's really going to get nice out. Maybe going to be more alive.
I heard the Rucker, West Fourth, and the Dykeman are always popping around this time. Is that correct, sir?
Oh yeah. This tournament's going on, man. Hopefully I can get to. I haven't got to been there in some years. Hopefully this summer, I'll definitely get to go out there and see some of the good basketball that's out there in Dykeman and the cages, under the bridge. There's a lot of great tournaments, going on in the city everywhere. Anywhere you see a park, there's probably going to be a tournament going on and all that. So, that's the one thing that's great about New York is basketball is alive everywhere, every borough. So you just pick a borough and just spend the night, take in the scenery and just enjoy some good hoop because you see some very talented individuals, that you're like, wow, this guy should be playing somewhere. This gal should be playing somewhere. So, it's the one thing, it is high-level hoop, no matter where you are in the city, man. But, man, it's going to be live. I can't wait, man. I'm excited to get to there and see some games, interview some people, for the podcast and all that. I'm excited about the summer.
One thing about New York City, it's always on the move, it's always growing, and hey, it's always on the move when it comes to their basketball, and they produced a lot of great stars, and they continue to do it in the area. And you heard it from him. He is Chris Lebron. He's the CEO of the Off the Ball Network and host of the Off the Ball and Get a Bucket podcast, and he's a contributor for Knicks Fan TV. Chris, thank you so much for being on the program. Tell everybody what's going on with you over at Off the Ball, also Get a Bucket and Knicks Fan TV.
Yeah, man, appreciate you having me on. Glad I could make some time. The day ended short for me, so I was like, I'd hit you up and see if we can still make it happen. But you could. I've been doing Off the Ball podcast. I'm about to do my 200th episode of the podcast. Started the podcast in summer 19. So it's been going strong. I've been really proud of the work I've been able to do. The people I've been able to interview, some of the, some former All-Stars, Kenny Anderson, to name, Charlie Ward, some really cool people, some top-level high school and college players, Emmy Award winners. So that's good. But 200 episodes should be dropping next week. I'm doing Get a Bucket podcast for my guy Kev Lucas out on the West Coast. We got a little West Coast, East Coast, flavor with that pod. We're talking college basketball, recruiting, high school scene. We're about to, get back as we took some time off of the season end, but we're going to get ramped back and talk about everything going on in the circuits, with Adidas, Nike canceling on it, Nike YBL, all those things. We're going to dive into that, and then the recruiting scene coming into that. And then I do some stuff for Knicks Fan TV. I'm going to be doing some more stuff as, now that the season's over, drop some stuff as far as the draft and all that. I know they usually do a draft show, so you'll see me on that, giving my, analysis and takes on some of the, I know Knicks got I think they got 3 picks this year. So last year we didn't do one because they didn't have any picks. This year they got a few picks, so we'll be on, and I'll probably be on the program and all that. So you can catch me there talking draft. I actually got another podcast in the work that we're going to drop the first episode actually today. NBA draft related past. So if you love the NBA draft and all that, I'm going to be dropping that today. So you can follow me off the ball pod, and you'll see all that good stuff. But thanks again for having me on, brother. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, you're welcome, man. This was a lot of fun. Tell everybody where they can find you, Chris, on social media, as well as Off the Ball, Get a Bucket, Knicks Fans TV, any websites. Let the listeners know that as well.
Yeah, so you can find me Off the Ball Pod. That's our most active on X. Instagram too, Off the Ball Pod. Facebook page. You can follow my YouTube channel at Off the Ball Network. We do a lot of good stuff. I have my shows go on there, but we do football stuff, gambling, you name it, on that. So make sure that you give us a like, and we're almost at 500 subs. So give us a sub on YouTube and all that. Make sure to check out our website, offtheballnetwork.com. You can check us out there. We also have a merch store. You can check us out, Off the Ball Network, at spreadshirt.com. You can check us out there. We got some nice, cool merch, on there. So, and yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm draft season's here, so you can catch me talking about the draft, and I'll be doing some stuff for Knicks Fan TV regarding the draft and all that. But yeah, like I said, man, follow me Off the Ball Pod. I always talk everything basketball, no matter what it is. Let's talk hoop over there. Just reach me out. Just talk to me. Hit me up on the DM if you want to talk hoop, whatever, man. I love talking basketball, so hit me up there, and then we'll have. I do spaces too, so I might do one a little bit later and all that. But yeah, I love the hoop, man. So just hit me up and we'll talk ball.
No doubt. You heard it from him. He is Chris Lebron. He's the CEO of the Off the Ball Network, also host of the Off the Ball and Get a Bucket podcast, and a contributor for Knicks Fan TV, enjoying the New York Knicks and all that it has to offer in the NYC, New York City. Chris, as always, this was a lot of fun. Thanks again, my man. If ever you want to come back on, feel free to let us know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You say the word. I'm on, my man.
No doubt. And thanks again for tuning into the program. Until next time, everybody, be safe. Have a good one.
Lamar to be the primary matchup on Brunson. Brunson, little turnaround is good. Brunson already with 8 and make it 10. Brunson dominating early. Both had some open looks. Another one missed. Brunson drives it. Brunson got it. Jalen Brunson. Brunson goes right by Halliburton. Pull that straight up. Brunson. Oh, silky smooth. Brunson stops on a dime. And now Hart on Brunson. 3-pointer flies. And Brunson rips the cord. So Brunson over Hart. Cash it in. And guarding Brunson here. Brunson shifty. Looking for contact. Brunson got it. Sitting on 40. Kicks to DiVincenzo, 3-pointer, down it goes!
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.